A top story than so many twists and turns today. Syria has agreed to Russia's proposal that it put its chemical weapon stockpiles under international control. Now, earlier in the day, US Secretary of State John Kerry had initially suggested such a scheme as a way to avoid a military strike on Syria. But then the US State Department since issued an apparent retraction of that, saying it wasn't a genuine offer. RT's Sean Thomas is on top of this story. Hi, Sean. As I say, so many twists and turns, but since that initial offer was made, there's been so much positive reaction to it too. Take us through the day.
Certainly, it has been a very interesting day watching this as it has developed. It started off as a day of a meeting of the ministers, both from the Western side and with Russia and the Syrian foreign minister. In fact, they met earlier today. That is Walid al-Muallim and Sergei Lavrov. Coming out of that meeting, they both agreed that Syria would work with Russia to stop a strike from the West, and also Syria had agreed to come to the negotiating table with no conditions. That's big news. But the biggest news is that Syria has agreed to release their chemical weapons arsenal to the international community. Let's listen to what Walid al-Muallim had to say about that.
I have listened to the Russian Foreign Minister's statement, and I want to say that we welcome his initiative as our government cares about the lives of the Syrian people and our national security, and also because we trust the Russian government's judgment in its efforts to prevent US aggression against the Syrian people.
Now let's backtrack and see how we got to this exact point. It started off with John Kerry meeting with his counterpart in the UK, William Hague, in London. Out of that meeting, Kerry said that Syria, if they want to avoid an attack from the US, they could turn over their entire chemical weapons arsenal by the end of this week. He also talked about if there were going to be a strike from the United States, it would be of limited scope and unbelievably small, saying that the United States is not going to go to war over the Syrian situation. This could be a play on words because only Congress has the ability to declare war. Congress is voting on Syrian intervention this week, so this could be a setup to basically say that Obama has the right to go it alone, if you will, without congressional approval. But out of that, Sergei Lavrov then came out and said he welcomes this idea. He's willing to work with the United States and the Syrian government to make this idea a reality. Let's listen to what Sergei Lavrov's words were in regards to this offer from Kerry.
We saw that statement by John Kerry, who said there would be no strikes if Damascus hands over its chemical weapons arsenal to the international community. We don't know whether Syria would agree to it, but if that helps avoid a strike, then we're ready to negotiate with Damascus.
Now, this is where this all gets really interesting. In fact, the State Department kind of issued a backtrack, if you will, stating that John Kerry's remarks were tongue-in-cheek. It was a rhetorical remark in response to the unbelievable idea that Bashar al-Assad would give up his chemical arsenal, an arsenal that he won't even admit to having. But after that retraction and after the idea came forward and after Sergei Lavrov said that he's willing to work with the US and with the Syrian government, lots of international support. In fact, UK's Prime Minister Cameron saying that it is a big step forward. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says he agrees with this concept, was considering a similar proposal from the UN as well, and then also urging Syria to join the chemical weapons ban. And then, of course, this latest news that the Syrian government itself, the Syrian Prime Minister, agreeing that they are willing to work with Russia and the West to remove their chemical arsenal to avoid a strike from the West. So big news developing tonight on the Syrian front.